Hello, my name's John Bullock and I'm a lighting designer. I'd like to welcome you to the video podcast series from The Light Review, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the rule of three. I've lived down in the southwest of England for over 20 years now, and most of my work has been in the residential community. An awful lot of people who have sold up in the southeast, put an awful lot of money in the bank and want to build or refurbish their dream home. They know they want to get the lighting right. They don't know how to do it. Who are you going to call? So conversation after conversation, you realise eventually a pattern starts to come out from all of this. And it always seemed to be in threes. And the thing that we know about threes is that you can only have three rules of three. You can't have one rule of three, can you? That would be a terrible thing to do. So what I'd like to do is go through with you my three rules of three, which have stood me in good stead. I think clients have enjoyed the process, and maybe it gets their minds off the size of a door and how thick the concrete needs to be. So a meditation on residential lighting design for you. I hope you enjoy it. It's a question really of how we get from here, the blank screen, through to here, getting it all down onto an AutoCAD drawing, and then finally getting it realised in the space and going, I think that's what I meant it to look like. Very, very good. So here we go, the rules of three, which are, in principle, what do we think we're doing, and where can this possibly work, and why do we think this is okay? Ideas flow through, ideas flow out. We have to bring all these together. We knit these into a workable scheme. So the first of the rule of threes, we look at the influences, the things which are really the immutables. And the first immutable certainly is the architecture. It's a building. Guys, it's a building. It's the one you bought, or it's the one that you are paying to have built. So whatever that is, we ain't going to lose it. And there's going to be details in there which are going to be very interesting, and it would be a shame not to bring them into a lighting scheme, because lighting is there to show us things. And if we can't show what the building is meant to be celebrating, then we're missing a bit of a point. And it also brings things like proportion into a space. And it brings form and ratio to the volume. And we might, if you want to sort of one little word for that, that is order. We are inside a frame. The frame won't go away. We've then got interiors, the interior landscape, the things that come into those volumes. And sometimes they are completely fixed. Here we've got light fitting that's actually screwed to the wall, so that ain't going anywhere. But it's screwed to the wall above a table which is movable. So interiors as a landscape is kind of a very interesting dynamic as to what is and what isn't, what will always be there, what won't always be there. The lighting design needs always to be dealing with the shifting nature of that interior landscape. And it's a hopeful space, because this is the embodiment of people's dreams and their aspirations. And again, if we want a word for it, it's about promise. It's the promise that is in your heart when you take this kind of project on. And then finally, it's the thing where the heart is. It is the human beings. The crazy people who say, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do the other. And if there's one thing that we've learned about human beings, is that there is a word for them. And that word is idiosyncratic. Do not ever assume that human beings are going to come out of a book of codes and standards, because they certainly do not. So it's always worth finding out just who the human being is that you're doing this design scheme for. There's our first rule of three. I say these are the things that don't go away. The building, the landscape inside the building, and the fauna and occasional flora that will be flourishing inside that volume. Corbusier said that a house is a machine for living in. William Morris said, only have useful and beautiful things in your house, of course. And as for human beings, I love William Blake, bright as fire, because we are the magic. And if you want the Marxist tendency, that's the Groucho Marxist tendency. People are crazy and they wouldn't want to belong to any club that would have them as a member, because they are unique. And that's the important thing to remember. The second rule of three comes into what is it that we're trying to do? It's one thing to say, I'm lighting a bedroom, I'm lighting a dining room, I'm lighting a kitchen. There's something more than that that we have to delve in, we have to drill down to find out what it is that people are up to. What is that room for? We might say this is a dining room, but actually you might find out that it's the place where the stamp collection goes, and the stamp collection is far more important possibly than the dining table. Who knows? People get up to weird stuff in their houses, all kinds of experimentation, or maybe just crazy bit of air guitar in the back bedroom. Who knows? Until you ask, until you tease out from these people what it is that they're trying to do with their spaces. Light is a connector. Light is a connector from the person through to the thing. So what we're looking at here is the objects belonging to the people are celebrated, regardless of whether it is a piece of flower decoration on a table or whether we're talking to somebody who's got a fantastic art collection and clearly a very, very big house. Connections are vitally important. And it's playtime, guys. We need to have fun wherever we can in these straitened times. So if you end up with an illuminated moose head, I ain't going to complain, because I think it's a thing of great joy. And if we put those two rules of three together, we start to see that we're starting to finesse some of those simpler options into the different ways that things can be brought together to form a much richer space. The third rule of three, the third rule of three came out of a conversation I had with a client when I was trying to explain a particular type of light fitting, when all I got was a puzzled look, and it happened to coincide with the first series of Downton Abbey. So I said, well, let's put it like this, shall we? It's about the hierarchy of the lighting. First off, let's talk about the workers, the people who actually do all the graft, but nobody sees them, nobody's intended to see them, but they work very, very hard. And this is that family of fittings that just graft. None of us care about any of this stuff so long as it works properly, and it has to work very, very well, but it is in the background and it is grafting along. Not necessarily a downlight. It might be something like, just a nice piece of opal glass, if that's the way of it, or a white satin downlight, very soft distribution. But these things do pay for themselves. I call in this the support, this second one, because it was difficult to find the term I was looking for. I called it, in my conversation with my client, imagine a butler. And I got, what? The butler is immaculate. The butler really controls how everything works and what everything is meant to do. But the butler is never meant to be seen. Again, unlike the worker, the butler is a part and parcel of the household space. But it is not the chief object of our adoration. So these are the fittings that, and we know these guys, because wherever we go, whichever lighting shop you go to, the idea that it's this sort of, if you like, second division fitting. That's not an insult, by the way, to anybody who recognises their fitting on this page. but there's somewhere else we go beyond this. But these are the things which are, in a sense, they're safe, but they're safe because they are meant to be working and they are meant to be supporting, there's that word, they're meant to be supporting the overall scene. And of course, there are some butlers which are absolutely gorgeous. But the one thing that every space deserves to have is its focal point. Now, I'm talking as a lighting designer, I'm talking about the lighting fixtures. So I would normally talk about the focus as being a lighting fixture. But it may be something that the lighting is working on. If you've got a nice, beautiful piece of sculpture in a room, I would suggest to you that that is the point of focus. And it'll probably just be workers who are illuminating it. But traditionally, in the Downton Abbey fashion, we know who the focus of a room is, and it is always the mistress of the house. And the mistress of the lighting installation will be the crowning glory of a room. So it will be the point of illumination focus. It will be something that is truly gorgeous as a piece of design. It is the focal point around which things will spin, and it is the one thing that we will ultimately celebrate, because everything else will be forgotten after you've seen this. So 3 rules of 3, and an even more complicated picture now. And if this is starting to look a little bit too much like a pinball game, don't fret too much about it, because the truth is that those 3 rules of 3 all come together, and they all come together in a rule of 1. Now, it doesn't matter whether that rule of 1 is a simple, elegant piece of interior design, or whether it's a crazy piece of play space. The rules are still there to be followed. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope that was very, very useful, and I'll see you out there.